Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to talk about the 8X adjustable club handle width as compared to Onnit steel mace handle width. The 8X adjustable club system comes in several different diameters of handle for different sized people. Most companies make one product that's supposed to fit everybody, which tends not to be a great idea for absolutely everybody because the size of people varies greatly. The original 8X handles were 1 inch, and there was a very specific reason for that. 8X adjustable maces and clubs were originally meant for competition. And in the beginning, some competition guys asked for a smaller handle so that they could close their hand tighter for a longer period of time. The whole point of the 8X adjustable system was that you can change the weight. So instead of buying a bunch of different maces and them taking up a bunch of space wherever you're training, you bought one product and you added weights to it. Overall, it costs less money in the long run. The 1 inch weight was the original weight. Then they made a fat handle, which was 1.25 inches. And these new super fat handles called the Wildman handles are 1.5 inches. Let's talk about why they're 1.5 inches. So let's measure the circumference of a couple of these different handles and see what they are. This Onnit handle is 5 1/4 inches around. The Onnit mace handle looks like 13.2 centimeters around. The 8X adjustable super fat handle is 4 3/4 around in inches and 12 centimeters around. So the 8X handle is smaller than the Onnit handle. The reason we picked that size for the 8X is because it's very, very close to this size. This is a custom heavy club that I had made several years ago. We took an R-Max original club, we chopped it apart, we ripped all the rubber off of it, and then we milled down what's inside of here. We machined that down, we did a bunch of math, and then we made a mold and recast AB over it. We did that so that we could make weights that weren't available to the general population. Commonly available weights are 10, 15, 20, 25. Here's where there's a huge problem. There's a big jump. It goes to 35, and then there's a big jump where it goes to 45. Most people are unsuccessful in many aspects of their heavy club training because of that jump. So we custom made 30s, we custom made 40s, we custom made 50s, we custom made 55s, and we custom made 60s. The problem is, in order to accomplish this task, it cost $700. We had to buy a club, we had to rip it apart, we had to buy AB rubber that combines together like an epoxy. We had to make a mold, we had to machine it. It was a lot of time and effort, and almost nobody has that much time and effort. Then came 8X, where we have a club handle with weights that you can adjust, and you can replace hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of other clubs for a small amount of money, for say $300. You can start at 3.5 weights, a weight lighter than anybody else makes, which is very, very appropriate for people who have been injured or who are older. You can start light and you can incrementally load it. The only system that does that. But we were basing it on this without replicating it exactly. The idea was to be slightly between this handle and this competition kettlebell handle. This handle is 5 1/8 around in centimeters. That is 13 centimeters around. And this competition Kettlebell Kings adjustable kettlebell, once again $300, replacing at least $3,500 worth of weights, is 11.5 centimeters and just a smidge over 4.5 inches around. A lot of time and effort went into designing competition kettlebells. There are kettlebells that have a slightly smaller diameter handle. These are the 35 millimeter handles. There are also 33 millimeter handles, but I like this one. So this 8X idea of these super fat club handles was to be somewhere in the range of these two items. But many people do mace flow arts, which means they do an infinitely complex amount of movement with a steel mace. And they're trying to replicate the feeling of these Onnit handles. So 8X, being the good company that it is trying to meet demand by making something that can be used for every type of mace and club swinging. They're trying to make a weight that is still predictable, 10 pounds, so that when you add weight to it, you get a very specific amount of weight. This can be used for traditional mace swinging competition, 5-minute and 10-minute sets of 360s or 10-2s. But this could also be used for things like fancy mace flow, where you're doing lots of hand changes and doing an infinite amount of complexity within the ranges that people normally use for that, which is 5 to 20 pounds. The other design issue that's very interesting is this is a cone which stays out of the way of your wrist. There is a weight sleeve that doesn't make it any longer, which would add another 5 pounds. This allows people to continue to do mace flow without inhibiting the movement of their wrist. These steel maces from many other companies use a globe. But in the spirit of answering our engineering economics equation for equipment, we are trying to spend the least amount of money to get the most amount of training and store it in the least amount of space. Overall, the length of the Adex adjustable mace and a Onnit steel mace are basically the same. There's just a little bit of variation in here. This one has a ball added to it, but the actual handle lengths are essentially the same. We have a little bit more length down here at the bottom, but that equation is being solved by adding an oversleeve to the system so that it's not continually getting longer and longer and longer and throwing off the way that the mace moves. One of the famous mace swingers in history, or the Gata swingers in history, was a guy called the Great Gamma, and he was a famous wrestler who lived in the Kashmir region about 100 years ago, and he fought thousands and thousands of wrestling matches. His club was 80 pounds, and he would do 1,000 360s with it every day, or that's what it says online, and his handle was 2 inches around. The bigger that handle gets, the more it changes the way the wrist works. I think that 1.5 diameter is really good. I think that that gives the most people the most benefit. The bigger the handle, usually the stronger the grip. The thinner the handle, the more you can close your hand. So here's a question. Do you guys think that we are solving this engineering economics equation effectively? Is this the correct size for this system,